everybody and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be showing you some more fall ideas for your sketchbooks. You all really enjoyed the last video, so I've got some more ideas for you. So let's get straight into it.
This very first idea is all based upon cozy clothing and feeling warm at home and just enjoying a nice hot drink. So I've got two elements to this painting. I've got one figure drawing with this nice big chunky knit jumper and some jeans and a hair thrown up in a bun, and then next to that in the composition I've got a close-up zoomed in image of the jumper and then also some hands clutching around a nice warm hot drink. So I'm just building up really light tones on this figure painting first of all, and I'm not going to add too much detail to this one because I just want this to be sort of a sideline to the piece, and I'm just lightly building up some darker tones in this, but like I say, it's not going to be very detailed at all on this side of the painting. I'm mainly going to be focusing on this side of the painting and just loosely painting this in with my watercolour paints. I've mixed up some really light skin tones and I'm just going to be using my yellow ochre for the background for the jumper, and then I'm going to build up some details of that jumper just to give it the impression that there is a nice cable knit chunky jumper with a big roll neck in the background. So I just thought this one would be really cozy and really nice to work on in my sketchbook. I'm not too worried about how realistic everything looks. This is just all about being cozy and enjoying the painting process. So for this one I wasn't going for realism, just a nice illustrative style. And then once all of the paint has dried, I can then go in over the top and add layers to build up the definition and the detail for this cable knit jumper. So I was just using a darker yellow ochre for this, and then in a little while I'm also going to build up some blue tones on this as well to create some shadow work. I also used a masking fluid for this painting because I wanted to add a bit of nail varnish on the hands, and I thought having the masking fluid would allow me to keep some really nice bright highlights within this painting. So I just put that down, allowed that to dry whilst I painted the rest of the cable knit jumper. Once the masking fluid is fully dry, I can then paint over the top of it with this nice bright red, so it contrasts really nicely against the rest of the painting. And then once this paint has fully dried, I'll be able to remove that masking fluid and I'll be left with really nice bright white highlights on those nails. Then this is the final outcome of this painting. I had a really good time painting this. I found the whole process just really nice and cozy. Let me know what you think in the comments. Next up, it's time to dig those colouring pencils out, and I've drawn out 4 different ideas for fall or autumn desserts. So I have got a piece of pumpkin pie, a little cupcake, a candy apple, and my absolute favourite, a cinnamon bun. So I'm using my colouring pencils, and I absolutely love using colouring pencils. I really enjoy the process of building up the colours and also adding unexpected colours in there as well, and then burnishing them all out to get a really nice smooth finish. So I would highly recommend getting your colouring pencils out and just having a good old sketch at some of your favourite autumn or fall desserts. I always go back to food as a subject matter because I am really inspired by artists like Wayne Thiebaud, and I also really like Sarah Graham's, and I do always fall back on food as a subject matter. So definitely give this one a go. I really do enjoy this. Let me know in the comments what food you might try out in your colouring pencil drawing. I also really enjoy using colouring pencils because it helps to think about colours that I might like to incorporate into my paintings, so I can do some really quick sketches and think about the colours that I'm going to be using on them, do a couple of colour studies, and then I can move across and practice those out into my paintings as well. So I do find that using colouring pencils just to put down ideas is a really good starting point before going on to a larger piece of artwork, and it's just also really relaxing. After having quite a busy day at work, it's really nice just sitting down and doing a little bit of colouring pencil work, and I find that this helps me just to wind down at the end of the day and just take my mind off of everything except thinking about colours and form and how I can use my colours to make things pop from the page or look a little bit more realistic. So I really do love using these outlines like I've got on the pumpkin pie beside this little cupcake, with those blues and those reds on the outside, just to make everything pop and make it all come to life. So I think just having this vivid colour in here just really helps me to relax in the evenings. For most of these fall desserts, I was thinking about colour theory and what complementary colours I could place together. So thinking about this apple here, I'm working on reds and greens because those two colours are complementary colours. They sit opposite one another on the colour wheel and they just work really well together. So I'm just building up my different reds and making sure that this apple looks somewhat realistic, and then I'm going to incorporate some of the greens into the shading to really make this apple just pop from the page. So I really do enjoy just working on those different elements of colour theory when I'm using my colouring pencils. So that could be something that you think about when you are doing some colouring pencil work in your sketchbook as well, just really thinking about the colours that you actually are choosing for your work. And then last but not least, I'm working on this little cinnamon bun because cinnamon rolls or cinnamon buns are my absolute favourite dessert, and I think cinnamon and autumn, you just can't get any better than that at this time of year, so I definitely had to draw one of those. And then I finish it off with those details around the image as well, just to really make it pop from the page. And I'm really pleased with this page in my sketchbook. I'm now going to be working on some landscapes because I haven't actually created any fall or autumn landscapes yet in this autumn and fall sketchbook ideas video, so I definitely need to incorporate some landscapes. And for this one, I've actually divided up 4 sections on my sketchbook, and I'm going to create 4 different little landscape ideas for you. So this first one, I'm thinking about a nice crisp blue sky and then lots of different trees, thinking about all of the different orange and green and yellow tones at this sort of time of year. And I'm going to then think about a really nice reflection across a lake. So this is going to be the very first sketchbook idea for the landscapes. Once you're happy with some of your background colours when you're doing the trees, you can then add some definition on the top just by loosely going over and creating this nice texture with different tones. So that's what I'm doing here, just to make my trees look a little bit more realistic in the background, and just thinking about other elements that I can add into this. So thinking about other trees that I might add to this idea and then getting those in. So I want a mixture of evergreens in here and also some of the trees where the leaves will go nice different orange and yellow tones as well. The second landscape idea for this double page spread is thinking about a tree-lined road and the leaves ready to drop off of those trees. So thinking about some really rich oranges and reds for this one, and just getting those in, and thinking about your perspective and how the colors might appear in the distance. So really thinking about that, and then again using those different textures for your leaves just to give it that nice loose watercolor effect. I'm using my gouache paints for this, but I have watered them down quite a lot so I can use them more like a watercolor paint. And I've been really enjoying these gouache paints, so if you're interested in them, I will pop them in the description box so you can go and check out those paints. If you haven't seen my last video on the sketchbook ideas for fall, then I'll have that in the description box as well, because I think you guys did really enjoy that one. But if you haven't seen it, then go and check that one out after you have watched this one, because there's lots of other ideas in that sketchbook as well. This next idea, I'm thinking about some boulders up close and then some further away in the distance with a little stream kind of dividing the two areas, and then again more of those nice orange red toned leaves, and then some at the very top as though you're kind of being encompassed by a tree from behind and they're just sitting at the front there. And they appear a lot larger than the ones that are in the distance. So you can really play about with your perspective when you're working on your little miniature landscapes. And I'm really pleased with how these ones are all looking so far. The very last one that I'm working on is thinking about the perspective being quite high up and painting from a vantage point up quite high, and then getting in the little miniature trees and also some waterways. Now for all of my images that I was painting from, I just got inspiration from either Instagram or on Google Images. And then once you're ready, you can peel all of that tape off and you end up with a really nice little double page spread. The last sketchbook idea that I have for you today is to create a nice little autumnal wreath. So thinking about lots of natural elements, all of the leaves that you might find at this time of year, and then the mushrooms that start cropping up as well. And I started by sketching out just a circle, and then I started drawing up all of my elements around the circle and placing those where I wanted them. And then you can use paint, you could colour it in, you can use whatever medium you would like to then create your little wreath. I'm using watercolours for mine today because I wanted quite a nice loose finish, but you could use whatever medium you have available. And I just really love the composition of this one. So I have got the mushrooms on a larger scale in the middle, but then I've got some on the outer edges of my wreath as well, mixed within the different autumnal leaves. So this one is one that I had a lot of fun with, and I did just keep allowing my watercolor paints to dry, and then I worked over them to add more definition to my painting. So you can really work on this one and end up with a really lovely end result. To finish finish off my wreath and add a little bit more detail to those mushrooms, I then used my jelly roller pen and added some white dots to each of my mushrooms just to give them a little bit more definition. You could also work in there with some other pens to really add more details if you wanted to. That's something that I might add to mine as well, but I'm really pleased with it. I think it looks really cute.
So there you guys have it. Those were my ideas. I hope you have enjoyed these fall sketchbook ideas. I will link the last video in the description box if you haven't seen that before, or you can go and check it out here now. If you have enjoyed today's video, give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.